participate in this lovely sport. We here now.
If you on that hit squad, then hit hard, bogart, and take charge. If you got accuracy to beat the QB, then let me see you throw it deep.
Yeah, the rounds go, brothers and sisters. This is Under the Lights, brought to you by Minnesota Sports Talk and Purple and Gold for Days.
Let's go.
We're your hosts, Dave and Justin. Fresh off a juggernaut win, 3-0
I'll go with the line I win in my reaction.
over the Las Vegas Raiders.
Right. News flash in the 10:30 news sports section. The Minnesota Twins defeat the Oakland Athletics in a great pitchers duel. Royce Lewis hits a 3-1 home run in the bottom of the 8th inning with 2 men out. And the Twins closer, whoever he is, comes in the 9th inning because it was a baseball game. Oh, wait, no, it was a football game. 3-0. The Minnesota Wild and Vikings both win 3-0 on Sunday. Think about that.
Yeah, you're probably better off with a hockey or MLS because they have a hockey team.
Mm.
No baseball team yet, until Oakland.
That was one of the. I put that up there with the Josh Freeman game, Monday Night Football against the Giants, the Joe Webb playoff game against the Packers, and name your Spurgeon win game here. That was so bad. Anyway,
I wouldn't. Because we won this one.
Well, okay. By the grace of whatever you higher power, because the other team was slightly worse than you. But a victory is a victory. We'll take it. You know, we got to look at it that way, I suppose. So,
yeah, I think after that, if we would have lost, I'd have felt like crap. But the fact that I got to see a shutout by our defense.
True.
And now my premonition of us being a top 10 scoring defense is now top 5, better than I ever expected. I'm pretty happy because at the switch at quarterback, which is our first topic, Mullens was named the starter. And like you said before the show, his water is wet.
Yes. And
Mick Mullens is our starter. So that is true. In fact, I didn't even doubt it that I had this thumbnail up with Mullens on it.
You had it up yesterday, as a matter of fact.
I had it up yesterday. Yeah. So I had no doubt that we were going to make the change.
Well,
was there a little premonition or a little worry that he can't make the decision? Sure, but I don't think you switch back, and I felt pretty comfortable putting that thumbnail up there.
Agree. No, I mean, first off, Josh Dobbs should not start a game unless both Nick Mullens and Jaron Hall either get injured or stink up the joint. I don't want to see Dobbs on the field again unless it's no other choice.
Now he hasn't declared that yet.
I know that drives me
back up, but he says that I think he said that all 3 will dress.
Either way, I don't care. Josh Dobbs should be the emergency third string quarterback.
Once you move away and you already had a guy you already had commitment to play, I don't feel like that is a unreasonable solution to where you would put him as the put Hall back as the backup. So I don't think Hall plays unless Mullens gets hurt or if we are out of the playoffs.
Right.
I think that's the only way Hall gets another start.
I would concur. Again, I've made my stance known that I think Nick Mullens is the safer play. I think he's the one that's going to make it easiest for Kevin O'Connell to try to run the same offense that he would otherwise run with Kirk Cousins. I think Jaron Hall has a higher ceiling than Nick Mullens does, but clearly he has a lower floor as well. And the fact that you are steady in the 6th position for the playoffs, and if you win out, can win the 3 seed. Yeah, coaches, owners, they're not gonna play risky. They're gonna play it safe. So nothing about today's announcement was surprising. Again, I still at this point, okay, fine, I'll accept that. But if Jaron Hall isn't the backup quarterback, I'm still going to be slightly irritated to say the least. So
before we talk more, and I have more to say about it, shout outs to
yes, DOD, what's going on?
This was a very early one. I don't know if he's on right now.
Yeah,
Bob Sweet in the house.
Let's
Raymond
go.
Hoagland.
What's up, Raymond?
Ryan Peterson. Let's go. What do we got here? Chuck.
Hey, Chuck, how are you?
Chuck Litwin, what's up, man? Dave, what's going on? Mary Fist, chicken soup for the soul. Still love seeing all your comments on my videos. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Did I ever say Ryan Peterson in the house? What's
going on? Ryan twice. It's all good. It's all good.
Norsefius, let's go. Colton, let's go.
What's up, Colton? How you doing? Good to see you.
Bass in the house.
T Bass. There wasn't a game.
Always there. Always there. Dr. Proto, let's go. Mr. Tonic.
Oh, sorry. Miss Norsefius. Sorry, my bad.
All right.
Anyway.
Mr. Tonic Amps, what's going on?
What's up, Tonic? How you doing?
Captain.
Captain. Right. That's a new one for me. What's up, Captain?
Let's go. Man. I got a few names I haven't seen personally. So they must listen to you all the time.
Wow. I'm gonna go back to one that D-Bass had. I'm gonna answer this question. Where did it go?
Sure.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. You know, if JJ and Ja can get on the same page, they could absolutely be ridiculously unstoppable. But wasn't there a game the Vikings beat the Giants 21-0, but they had like a kickoff, 2 touchdowns on defense? Okay. So there was a game in 2005 where the Vikings won when they got a kickoff return touchdown from not Marcus Robinson, but Corin Robinson. And but it wasn't 21-0. I think they won 24-21 in that game. In 2006, they had a game where Darren Sharper, Dwight Smith, and somebody else had pick sixes, and they beat the Giants. And then in 2007, the year the Giants won the Super Bowl, they mollywopped them, scoring 40-some points with a couple of pick sixes and a kickoff return too. So I'm not sure which one. Maybe there was a game that they won 21-0, but those are the ones in my lifetime that I absolutely remember. A shout out Norsefius one more time for winning the steak knife set donated by Mary for week 1 of the fundraisers for my daughter and for Gary's grandson. So shout out to him one more time there as well. T-Bass, you were just a little worried. Well, there is that. But let's hit the reset button. Hit those like buttons, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get this chat hopping. Wipe your feet at the door. And if you don't already subscribe to Minnesota Sports Talk, that's him. And Purple and Gold for Days, that is me. And after the show, if you could go to the other channel that you're not watching on and just hit the like button there as well, that would be greatly, greatly appreciated. All right. Anybody else? Bob says, I think that was in the 70s. Okay, well, then that would have been that would have been before my time. So you were going to say, now we got our shouts here. What were you going to say to go on to the rest of the quarterback stuff there?
Well, last week I was talking about quarterbacks, and I said Mullens would probably benefit Justin Jefferson the most. I don't know if you agree with that, but the reason being, I said he plays like Kirk Cousins against Buffalo, but all the time. Mm-hmm. Like he don't care.
Yeah, he's definitely a gunslinger. Yeah.
Now the downfall of that is he does not have the strongest arm. But I was looking at his college, the combine review of him, what he was coming out, and that a lot of it was he didn't have the strongest arm, and he's only 6 foot tall. Yeah. But a lot to do with how accurate and how he throws such a soft catchable ball. And you could and then the other thing was footwork. He was quick in play action, and you immediately saw his dropbacks in comparison to Josh Dobbs. Mm-hmm. Josh Dobbs were long, slow, and too deep.
Yeah.
On a regular basis. And I think our offensive line, who had struggled the past 2 weeks, had a lot to do with it.
Honestly, I agree.
Has a lot to do with it. And you immediately saw someone more comfortable in the pocket that didn't duck his eyes or look to run. And Nick Mullens came in, and the offense looked immediately better.
Yeah.
It just did.
I mean, that typically happens if the starter struggles and you put in a backup, it re-energizes everybody. I remember 1999 after Randall Cunningham was down, I think 19-0 to the Detroit Lions. And that's when they put Jeff George in, and you could just see like, okay, it's good. Totally different circumstances when you're talking about Cunningham to George, slightly more talented than Dobbs and Mullens. But to your point, yeah, I agree. The first couple of games in Atlanta and at home against the Saints, you had the element of surprise. Second, people started seeing, all right, what does this guy do? Oh, yeah, he runs around. You keep him in the pocket, he's got nothing for you. I mean, he was airmailing guys left and right, even when he did have time. So to your point about the offensive line, I totally agree. Got a lot of injuries, which we'll get to in our third segment. But my, oh my, you could absolutely tell the difference there. Absolutely, totally agree.
In the drop balls, but honestly, I'm going to put part of that on Josh Dobbs because Mullens and Cousins, and I saw that with Hall, they throw with anticipation.
Yeah.
Like Dobbs throws to the open guy. Those guys throw to the place where they're going to be open. That's what I'm saying. And that's why holding onto the ball and is needing to run happens is because he doesn't necessarily throw to the open where the guy's going to be open. And that's why I think Jordan Addison's production has been down. But he also, his late recognition causes him to throw fastballs on every single throw.
Right.
There's not been many touch passes by Josh Dobbs. Immediately, Mullens, you saw that. Like KJ Osborne backing up on falling out of bounds, touch pass, right? So you can just see, those balls right at their face mask, right?
Right.
You don't have much room to, like the Naylor drop right in his face, right? Those are all fastballs because he really doesn't throw with anticipation. He has to throw fastballs because he's late.
Right.
And that's and in Justin Jefferson's case, high and late, high and behind, leaving him susceptible to what they call the hospital ball.
Yeah, yeah. I heard another one on the radio. That's called a hey man ball, where it's like you come back to the other, hey man, like what the heck? But it was a fun couple of weeks. I can't remember if it was with you on his show last week when Rapp said that Denver figured it out. I think the Saints figured it out at halftime.
Yeah, that's what I said when you guys were doing your video. I remember you both saying that exact same thing. And
yep.
Yeah, they figured him out at halftime. I do think that had a lot to do with us just taking our foot off the gas too. I think I blamed a lot after the game. I blamed a lot of that on KOC, not necessarily Dobbs, because I felt like we ran past a little too much instead. Now this last game, it's like, why didn't we run more? Why did we throw like 35 times when we were running so well? So it's like, maybe we should have not put the ball in Dobbs' hand as much. Right. And our running game was looking pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I think at this point, I don't want to dive too much into what we've all kind of reviewed. You had a good show yesterday reviewing the game, and I reviewed it on mine. That, I'm always one of the, let's not look backwards anymore. Because again, what are you going to do? The guy was traded for a 6th and 7th round swap. This isn't where we took Sam Bradford from the Eagles and it cost us a 1st round pick. So if it doesn't work, it hurts you. This move doesn't hurt you.
And you and me and Rapp all thought at the time it was to be the backup to Hall, and he was going to hold a clipboard.
Right.
And the only way he'd get in there is if he's be injured. And it was more to do about it was more to do about Mullens being hurt and Sean Mannion being our backup for a game.
Right.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, so we got Lynn Sanity out of this.
Yes.
New York, the guard for New York back in the day.
I remember.
And he played for the Lakers too, but
yeah,
a few other teams. But there was just this, Lynn Sanity craze that went on for a little while. And that's what we got. It was kind of exciting. We probably, I say we make the decision coming out of the bye. We didn't.
I agree.
Now I can see KOC did have a good point. He said this is where other teams had given up on him.
Whatever. I don't care. But finish your point. Yeah.
And being a quarterback, he would he would have liked that same opportunity. Now, again,
so would I.
Him, that's his personality.
Yeah.
Hopefully he doesn't ever have to make that decision again. We always have that guy and not have to worry about this. But
yeah,
it tends to happen. But
tell you what, I'm going to do some shouts. If I forget what that point was, just keep that in mind because I want to address that. But I love this comment from Ryan. The game has been changed from Vikings Bengals to Twins Reds. But Ching, line of the night so far. Shout out to Caesar. What's going on? How is Dub named the back? He hasn't been named the backup yet. He only named the starter today. But I agree with you. If Dobbs is named the backup, we riot. No, I'm just kidding. Shout out Sodak kid in the building. What's going on, Sodak? I like this comment here. If we get to the playoffs, our defense is going to be hellish. It very well might be. I think both of us use the phrase, is this defense championship caliber? And we'll talk a little bit more of that in the next segment.
KOC called it.
Should we have picked up Flacco or Case Keenum instead of Dobbs? I say no to Case Keenum. Flacco is an easy second guess, but wasn't he sitting on his couch anyway? I mean.
Well, you and me, I'm going to talk about this. You and me both kind of thought, why didn't we get someone off the couch, right?
Right.
Why do we go have to trade for somebody that we don't expect to start?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Dobbs ends up starting. We had a nice little run, whatever. But yeah, I felt like why didn't we just go get somebody and put him in the there. That's why Mannion came, is because he already knew the offense.
I just to wrap that point, I say no to Case Keenum, and then I say, Flacco's an easy second guess, but you could make that argument. Shout out to Voluminous Grin. What's going on? Good to see you. Shout out Nephew in the building. What's going on, JJ? It's good to see you there as well. And our guy, Chad, what's going on? Wish Dobbs didn't get all the hate. He did lift up the team if it was only for 5 quarters. No, I've said plenty that I've said that, okay, Josh Dobbs just is who he is. And what the reasonable expectations would have been for him, he probably met those expectations. He probably exceeded them a little bit in his first 2 games, which then caused us to raise our expectations. But no, I've said a lot of this is on KOC. Now, that doesn't mean that it's all on KOC because he has called some plays that Josh Dobbs has missed, but I still say at some point you should be able to see that I'm calling an offense and the offense is producing opportunities for me to move the ball, but the quarterback I have in there is not capable of completing those passes. To your point a minute ago, KOC has always been a touch too loyal for my liking. Last year was Ed Donahoe. Earlier this season, we were talking about Alexander Madison. I get it. He was the quarterback that didn't make it and was relegated to be a career backup, and he never got his big shot again. That's great that you want to give a guy a chance. That's great. But you had given him a chance. It's not about one guy. And I said it last night on my show. He probably sees a lot of himself in Josh Dobbs. Like just wanting one guy to give him one more chance.
4-5, so.
Well, aside from, right, I'm talking about, clearly not that. But and I'm just like, yeah, that's all well and good. That's great. But you're not a guidance counselor at a high school. You're a head football coach in the NFL. You do what is best for your team's success. There are how many? I don't know if it's 26 and 26 with a couple of special team guys. That defense deserved way better than what they got. You only got that win, and you only got away with it because you were playing the dog butt Oakland Raiders. So let's just be clear on that. We'll get to the defense next. I keep saying that, but just wanted to get a few shouts in and address some of those points. But I agree, T-Bass. Nobody hates him. It's just he's really not all that good.
I don't see anybody that was hating on Dobbs other than
right.
Just
Shout out Ramon. Shout out Ramon. How are you?
Crazy people that hate everybody.
Yeah, that too. Shout out Gary in the building. What's going on, Gary? Thanks again for joining as always. Ramon says it's a gamble with who we got. I still dig the Dobbs story. At least he still has. Well, yeah, sure. But at this point, it's pretty clear that he cannot run KOC's offense. He can't. Now, how much you put on him and how much you put on KOC, I don't know. But at the end of the day, it was a nice run. And as I said, time to look forward. No point in looking back. One more shout real quick. We got our guy in the zone in the house. What's going on? And we got my guy, Joey. What's going on? KOC still had as wide receiver. I don't know what you're trying to say. Oh, yeah. Talking about Addison. I get you. All right. Your next point. Go ahead.
Well, God, I don't know. But we switched the defense, or we switched the offense a little. We added plays for Dobbs, and he didn't execute on them.
Right.
Like we had these these option plays for him, and they didn't work. And I don't think it's because I don't know. He couldn't do it. And he wasn't able to shine. I think there was a play. Oh, there was definitely a play. The weak side, because they had a strong side and they had a 2 receivers set on their right side, and they had a receiver on the left running a post. That dude was open. Dobbs didn't throw it, and that has to be thrown. It would have been a 30, 35 yards in the air. He was so wide open.
Yeah.
And he wasn't looking. It wasn't looking for it.
He just doesn't have that skill set. He's a nice raw athlete, and that's pretty much it. So
yeah, I mean, and I think that was the play that because I think he ducked and run, and a guy was open on the post on the backside, and I think that's the one where KOC just threw up his hands and started yelling at him. And, I think that was the same play,
and that's kind of my point. If you're getting to that point, and I think it was in the second quarter, or was in the third quarter. Do you remember?
Say it was the third.
All right, that's kind of my point. If you're doing that, that means you should be hooking the guy and putting in the other guy. That's all I'm going to say. Real quick, couple of shouts, real quick. We got Lemmy in the building. What's going on? Just saw how a desperate fan base to be relevant. We're the Sour Patch Kids. That's interesting. But anyway, shout out Rap. Speaking of Rap, and you know what? Let's hit the reset button. Hit those like buttons, ladies and gentlemen. And reminder that at 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central, over on Purple and SKOL Media, SKOL Live with Rap and our guy Dave. So head on over there after the show.
Now, still on Mullens here. A little. We'll just segue to the defense, but 2017.
Yeah.
Casey Keenum. The best defense in the league, except on the Eagles game, which I don't know, they didn't show up. But now you have Mullens. Is he any worse than Casey Keenum?
Well, oh boy.
Because that offensive line was pretty average. It was like ranked 17th in the league. And
I don't know. I mean, again, we're talking about
we had some weapons, but right now we have weapons.
Yeah. I don't know. Again, to me, it is what it is at this point.
And that's what I'm saying. We have a puncher's chance with a defense as good as we have. It's just gotten better. And ever since the fourth game of the season, because that Chargers game, I was doing a video saying, did we buy a bill of goods getting Brian Flores the way they played against the Chargers, and then ever since then they have now been the best defense in the league in a lot of advanced metrics. And you throw out those first 3 games, they're the best defense in the league in a lot of cases. So just the way they've been playing as of late, they have a good stretch of games. It's not a minute sample size. It's a how well they played against KC, how well they played against San Francisco. We have a defense, and you can't tell me that we don't have offensive weapons. So throw a competent quarterback behind the wheel with that type of defense. And God, if we, God forbid we win the division, because that Lions schedule is tough.
Right.
We can even win the division with a 3-1 record and them having a 1-3 record. It would require them to beat us once and lose the other 3 games. But each team they play are a winning team. 7-6 Denver, 10-3 Cowboys, and we're 7-6. So we control our destiny, and that's all we can ask, right? And that defense can travel. So give me a competent offense. Give me a defense that holds somebody under 20 points a game, and let's roll the dice.
Right.
That's what I like. Now, keep in mind, we're not San Francisco right now. We're not Dallas right now. But here's a point too. The Eagles have a plus 21 point differential. We have a plus 24. Does that mean the Eagles are frauds?
No, they were.
That's what we were called all last year. Point
Yeah,
differential,
okay,
point
yeah,
differential.
but last year the Vikings weren't coming off a 3-point loss to Mahomes in the Super Bowl. That's they have a little bit more equity than the Vikings did last year. The Vikings last year were coming off of what 8 and 9 and
I
firing
know.
the
I was
vote.
told point differential means everything.
Okay, there's context. There's context, and that we'll just leave it at that. Let me get some shouts. We got Gary Olson in the building. What's going on? We got Double Gary. We got Anthony in the building. What's going on? We got my guy Nano Joe. Ain't seen Nano. Yeah, we're gonna get curb stomped in the first round. I guess it would depend on who we play. Just to your point about this defense.
Right now, we'd be playing the Lions, and they just lost to the Bears.
Well, so did
would we get curb stomped by the Lions?
I don't know. Kind of depends on which line team show up. But yeah, I think if we win this division, you're going to face either Green Bay, Detroit, and maybe the Rams and maybe the Seahawks. If you win the division, you'll be hosting one of those 4 teams. If you don't win the division, you're either going to be going on the road to either the Lions or whoever wins the division between Dallas and Philly, because I think San Francisco is just going to get that 1 seed, and that's going to be all there is to it.
Yeah,
but
I think it's the Lions. No matter, I don't think we'd play anybody else. I don't think.
No, yeah, if we fall to the 7 seed, we'd be playing a 2 seed. If we don't win the division,
I mean, I'm talking about 6 seed. You know,
yeah,
the
as
Lions
yes.
staying in the 3 seed,
Yeah.
not going to the 2.
Correct. Whoever wins the North will be the 3 seed.
You were just
right?
thinking the opposite with the,
yeah.
6,
Whoever wins the North will definitely be the 3. They can't catch up to the 2, and whoever's the 4 is not going to be able to catch up.
Most likely can't catch up to 2. Just that's a tough schedule by the Lions, and then we're too far back.
Yeah. So having said all that, I mean, it depends on who you match up with. I mean, I mean, technically the Packers could still win this division if both Detroit and Minnesota falter. It's highly unlikely, but they're only a game back, and I'm just saying. But anyway, moving on.
Game back of us. They're 3 games back of the Lions.
Well, if the Lions lose to the Broncos and to us twice in Dallas, they could very easily go 1-3 or 0-4, like you said just a moment ago.
But the Lions would then lose to us, so we would then win the division. You know what I'm saying?
Well, we won't get into all of the permutations here at this point. But the point I'm making,
the only way the Packers win the division is I don't think they mathematically could, because that would require us beating the Lions, and we would have a better conference record than them.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
I don't think the Packers might be mathematically. It'd be high. I just don't see where that would come from. But yeah, it would have to be pretty crazy. Scenario.
Yes, it would be crazy, absolutely. But the point is that yes, if we fall to the 7 seed and have to face Dallas, Philly, or by some chance San Francisco, yes, we would get curb stomped. Now, to your point about this defense, yeah, if we get competent quarterback play, we can win 3 out of the last 4, maybe even all 4, and could very easily win in the wild card round. I don't care how good this defense is playing. No, Nick Mullens is not Trent Dilfer, and he's not Joe Flacco in their primes with the Ravens version of the defense. I love this defense. I love Brian Flores and everything he's done. But going on the road to Philly, Dallas, or San Francisco, I don't like our chances in that scenario. But that's for at least a month away, and we'll see. You want to move on to defense? Go ahead and change the banner. We forgot to change. We keep forgetting to change the banners. JJ says Eagles are frauds. Well, they're not playing their best right now. But come playoff time, if we got to go to Philly,
they were a better team last year. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, a little point about the Lions. We were the 31st ranked defense, but who was the 32nd ranked defense last year?
That would be the Detroit Lions.
That would be the Detroit Lions by like 20 yards a game. So like they gave up over 370 yards a game last year, and it wasn't good. And they extended their defensive coordinator. We got a new one. So you got to realize that their defense isn't that great. Their quarterback is very inconsistent as of late.
Right.
He's throwing interceptions. Now, much like Cousins, I have always said you put them out there in no huddle, they play a lot better. I think he plays a lot better out there no huddle. He was able to pull it off the first Bears game. He wasn't with the second one. And didn't they recently lose to the Packers too?
Oh, who's that?
Right? Yeah,
the Lions.
The Packers at home.
Yeah.
So they're not doing that great right now. So to think that we'll just get curb stop in the first round if we play the Lions, I think we'll match up just fine against the Lions because our defense is just one of the best in the league right now.
Yeah. But again, who have we played the last couple of weeks? Oh yeah. The Bears, they're terrible. You should have again. They did not get what they deserved. They deserved to win that game by only doing 12 points to the Bears and none yesterday. Let's step it up in class a little bit. And I'm not taking anything away. In 2023, with all the rules slanted towards the offense, you shut out anybody. You don't have to apologize for it. But all I'm saying is that
they got good receivers and a good tight end, good running back.
Yeah.
That was something.
It absolutely was. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it like that. I'm just saying that if we're going to talk about doing damage in the playoffs, that's a step up in class is all I'm saying. But anyway, anything else you want to talk about specifically on the defense? Pace Gang, Ivan Pace, Josh Metellus, Cam Bynum, DJ Wanham got in the action again. DJ Wanham just kind of got one handed to him. But at the end of the day, hey, they all still count. I'm done with that particular portion. But anything specific on the defense you want to get into here?
Well, just even with before we beat the Bears the first time.
Yeah.
They scored 28 and 40, and I think Fields threw like 8 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
And then before we lost to them, or before we lost to them and only scored 10 points, they scored 26 the week before us to the Lions. They lost the Lions, but they scored 26 points against them. Mm-hmm. So it's not like they probably have more points per game than us, the Bears. And so the fact that our defense only held them to 12, I think that's pretty good.
Oh, absolutely.
So I know it's a competition thing, but we were playing a team that scored 26 points the week before, and before we played them the first time, they scored 40.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, this is a team that we held at 12 points. So I think our defense, can play well, except against the Chargers apparently. But I think every game since they just been, pretty outstanding. And turnovers was still a problem in several of these games. They held the other team down even despite that. But shout out to Brian Flores. I just find it hard that he's not going to find a job. I find it hard to believe that we're going to be.
It kind of depends on if the owners are going to stick to the good old boys mentality, where if you come at one of us, you're coming at all of us. So, by the way, to answer your question, just for the sake of, because I was bored and wanted to know the answer to the questions, if the Packers go 4-0, they would be 10-7. If the Vikings go 3-1 with their only loss being to the Packers, they would also be 10-7. And according to this playoff predictor, the Packers would actually own that tiebreaker because our head-to-head would be split. Our division record would both be 4-2. Don't ask me how or why. I'm just going through this little website here, playoffpredictors.com. So for whatever you want to say, yes, the Packers would have to sweep, and we'd have to, even if we did win the other 3.
And we'd have to lose, I don't know.
No, even if we went 3-1 and our only loss was to them, if they go 4-0. Because we both be 10-7. According to this. But anyway, we can move on.
That's the one.
That's the one scenario. That's the one scenario. Yes. But I digress. Moving on. Okay. Let's hit the reset button. Hit those like buttons, ladies and gentlemen. If you're not already subscribed to both channels, hit us up with a subscribe. Shout out to James in the building. What's going on? Just like I needed the Vikings to win to give me hope, I really need the news I got today. It's not ALS. Probably need surgery on my neck and lumbar. Oh, wow. But ALS was officially ruled. Hey, all right.
Oh, that's good.
That's absolutely great. ALS is no joke, and good luck to you on
James has
possible surgeries. Yeah.
Has kidney replacements.
Oh, okay.
It ended his career in NASA as a NASA engineer.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Shout out Yogi, what's going on? Good to see you as well. Yogi, sorry, I was a little downtrodden by that last comment, so I'll try this again. Shout out Yogi, what's going on? Didn't mean to shortchange you. There, but anyway, SKOL Mafia is in the house. What's going on, Mafia? Where you been at, man? No, I'm just playing with you. I'm just messing with you.
But the Packers do have easy schedule except for us.
That's what I'm saying.
And Buccaneers just recently won, so that us and the Buccaneers are probably there. Mm-hmm. But then, hey, the Bears, last game of the season at home.
Either way, we just got to take care of business. Go 4-0, win in the division. We don't have to worry.
That's all we got to do. That's all we got to do. 4-0.
Yes.
damn, you know what? I would be in every Detroit fan's face. Honestly.
Oh, they were talking so much trash
I would
earlier
be
this year.
I'd go
And
back
all off seasons.
on that panel again. I'll be like, you gotta put me on this. He was
You talking about the one that Sarah told us about a bunch, or was it a different one?
I don't know. I went on a panel like a few weeks ago, and they opened up by doing a Kirk Cousins Achilles joke.
Oh, really?
It was the week after the Achilles injury.
That's kind of.
And then he just sent me a message yesterday with that the playoff committee has decided not to let the Vikings in the playoffs because they lost their quarterback and only scored 3 points against the Raiders.
Wow, that's original.
Yeah, and I'm like, and then so I'm like, he wants to smoke. Here you go. I share it, and I says, here's a Bears fan getting all excited about being one game out of third place.
Yes, there you go. Shout out Frozen North. What's going on? I know it's been a couple minutes, but I miss you. I miss you. Mr. Tonic Amps is a great question. How do you think Browning will fare against D-Flow? He's just gone up against the numbers 24 and 25 in the last couple of weeks, whereas the Vikings are top 10.
He's not like he's been throwing touchdowns left and right.
He's been a good game manager is what he's been. He's been a good game manager. I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon. Oh, the Vikings should have kept in, and because Kirk Cousins had to have his guy. We let this guy go. Let's calm down. Let's let him beat a real team. And I'm not saying that the Jags and Indy aren't real, but I'm just saying their defenses aren't all that good. So we'll see. We'll see what Flores has got for this guy, and we'll leave it at that. I'll just say this: Norsefius, yes, give Ivan Pace the number 0 because I don't even know. Have you heard anything about Devin Poop? Is he coming back at all, or is he just done?
He's out of the walking booth this week, apparently.
Oh, well, good for him.
That's from Doogie.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to listen to that today. Speaking of Sarah, there she is. Wow, glad we ain't the only ones who lost to the Bears. You are correct, Sarah. Sarah, have you been over in that Lions chat on that show that you showed us in the offseason during training camp? I wonder how they're doing after this week. But shout out, Sarah. And by the way, hope you're feeling better as well. Hope you're still getting better after your little snafu with the car there. But let us know if you've been over in their chat. Anyway, yes, exactly. That's kind of crap. I bet they were. I bet. All right, let's see what T-Bass. After Rams, Seahawks, and Packers, Minnesota, it basically is a shoe-in. Yeah, they would have to royally screw it up, T-Bass. They would have to royally screw it up. Royally. So.
Yeah, it's. I mean, we have so many tiebreaker. The only team we really have a worse situation against is if the Buccaneers come up and win every game.
No, if the Buccaneers win every game, they'll take their division, so we don't have to worry about it.
Well, I mean, yeah, they would. But, I mean, if we tie them in some capacity and they didn't win their division, they got the tiebreaker on us. That's the only team that's really got an advantage on us. Yeah, Pace is everything in a bag of chips. He's so slippery. He doesn't have great size, whatever, but I'll take his pluses any day.
Oh,
and there was a stat where he had they gave up 2 catches to their number 1 receiver. Names escapes me. Used to be a Packer. What's his name?
Davante Adams.
Davante Adams had 6 yards against Pace, and he had a pick. So perfect. That's great, man.
This guy's been a heck of a find, and
that was the thing. They said he wasn't going to be able to cover passes. But he played great in this last game all the way around.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised that he didn't get NFC Defensive Player of the Week.
Oh, he absolutely should. I'd be surprised if he didn't. He absolutely should. Uh-oh.
I don't know about the other games, so there might have been.
I don't care. There was no other game.
Max Crosby had like 2 sacks, but
no, I totally agree.
That wasn't a loss. So.
Shout out Swerve. What's going on? Good to see you. Thank you as always for coming. Let's see here. Vikes would have to steckle it. Okay, that's a good one. All right, Ramon,
you just gave away your age, man.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, Ramon. Do you have Facebook? Excuse me. Do you have a YouTube account? Because if you do, if you could hit us up on the YouTube page, with even just to hit the sub button, whether you watch on YouTube or Facebook, it's fine. Either way. But no, yeah, put the link to your group in the chat, and then we'll definitely, at least I will, but I'm guessing Dave will too. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I can't decide if that's the worst game I've ever seen or the most impressive. Well, definitely not impressive for me, James. I said that it was right there with the Josh Freeman Monday Night Football game and the Joe Webb playoff game. Those are my top three.
And I guess I didn't elaborate on my the reason why I'm not like negative about this game is because the defense, man, just the shutout, the defense, the fact that we made the right decision and moved on from Dobbs, that I cannot say, oh, our offense sucks when we just Dobbs wasn't there, wasn't the dude to do it.
Mhm.
Obviously, the game plan against him, he can't hit tight windows. His deep ball, obviously, in the Bears game wasn't the greatest.
Right.
Just there was, and he doesn't throw all the things that he doesn't do well. Mullens does better, and I know people were down on him, but it just rewind back to where we re-signed him, or to where we signed him as a free agent, and or did we trade for him? He was a free agent, wasn't he?
Who's this again? I'm sorry.
Mullens. He was when we brought either way.
I don't recall.
When
but
we brought him in to be our backup quarterback, I think everybody that I'm associated with said we just got ourselves a high-end backup quarterback. We probably have one of the better quarterback situations now in the league with Cousins and Mullens, and I felt that way. So when he came back, and we can move on to him, I wanted Hall only because I think in the future, and I think he was capable. But I think Mullens probably gives us the best chance to win. And right now with that defense, that's all I want now.
Right.
I mean, I can't bring Cousins back, so I got to just go with what we have. And on my whole thought process is we got weapons. Justin Jefferson, I believe, is going to play this week. I think
believe
it was just precautionary.
Let's go ahead and move on over to injuries. I think we've got enough what we want from the defense there, since we're going to talk about that. But to Ramon, I put both of the channels into the Facebook chat for you there. And the only thing I'll say, Ramon, again, consume us however you want. But what I will say is, right now you're chatting with yourself. If you come on the YouTube page, you can interact with the other people.
Yeah, we got 37 people in here, man.
There you go. But there you go. So there you go. But in all seriousness, injuries, yes, let's start with JJ. I think he's going to play. I think, number one, he was itching to get back in before. I said this on Monday. I'm starting to believe the conspiracy that it was the Vikings that held him back, that if their bye week had been earlier and that they weren't trying to, get to the finish line of the bye week, that he probably would have played sooner. But again, neither here nor there. Again,
yeah, for me, it was like, hey, they activate him the day after the game, right? A day after the Bears game. I'm like, come on, man. That means he could have played in the Bears game. So. And we would be feeling a lot more comfortable. I think JJ's rearing to
get out there with somebody who's not going to hang him out to dry.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Well, I won't talk about another show, but yeah.
No, go ahead. Who cares? That's fine.
Well, I started listening to SKOL North again. And they were talking about maybe and of course they go into, hey, if we're going to lose all 4 games, we'll be like a 10th spot in the playoffs, and how much that more valuable that is than us just barely making the playoffs.
What show was that?
Justin Jefferson should GM or Justin Jefferson's agent should be talking to him about, hey, maybe your hamstring is not healed and you should sit out the rest of the season, even though 1,000 yards means a lot to you. But they all agreed that nothing was going to happen. That Justin Jefferson wouldn't do that. He would go on and play. I'm going to go back to this puncher's chance, defense, all these offensive weapons. We just need a guy that can deliver the ball, and and we're running the ball better. We ran the ball pretty good against the Bears. We just didn't do it that often. 2 games in a row, Madison has over 5 yards and over 6 yards a carry.
Yeah.
So it's like finally, he's being consistent, and it would all been good if he didn't fumble against what game it was, Denver, and he had a good game there too. Mm-hmm. So it's like, he is playing better. We are having a running game now, so we got a lot of good things going for us. And I think Mullens can. Let me ask you this: you think Mullens can, have a 3-touchdown game and our offense scored 27 points?
Oh, sure. Absolutely.
Our defense can hold people underneath that. So let's go.
Yeah, I said at the beginning of the show, I think with Nick Mullens, if this defense goes, you're not going to be at the same level as you would have been with Kirk Cousins, obviously. Do I think that they can do enough to go 3-1 or 4-0 to get into the playoffs? Yes. Do I think that they could give themselves a very good chance of winning a wild card game under these conditions? Yes. Do I think it pretty much ends there? Probably. So, but which show and what?
Hold lost their quarterback in a game, and their backup came in and was trash, and and then the Eagles just walk into the Super Bowl, right? So anything could happen, right?
Sure, anything. Now I got to ask you, what day and which show was it that you were referring to this conversation? It was today. All right, I haven't listened to it yet today.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things where he's like Mackey likes to stir it up. Brought in the advantages of going 0-4 the rest of the season.
Yeah, there's a handful of advantages, and at this point, those advantages do not outweigh the handful of advantages of making the playoffs and seeing what you got. That argument, long ships has sailed. That argument was done the day they beat San Francisco. If they had lost to San Francisco and been 2-5, then that conversation is absolutely worth having, and it would be on the other side. And I said that for 2 weeks. You didn't take me up on a bet where I would have had to pay you whatever you had named because you weren't as confident in him. And that's fine. But yeah, that ship has sailed about what's better for at this point. At this point, with 4 games left,
I didn't want my co-host to bet on the team losing.
That's on me then. That ain't on you. Anyway,
I didn't want to have to every day every week talk about how you were losing this bet and you were betting on the Vikings to lose.
Hey, you know what? That's called
motivating. I don't bring it up. You bring it up.
No, that's fine. I motivated him. James, to your point about my 3, you're right. We didn't win those other 2 games. You are absolutely correct. Shout out Norseys for the $2 super chat. Green Dot as a UDFA rook. Pace gang. Let's bleeping go. Totally agree with you, Norseys. Totally agree. But shout out for you on the $2 dono. Appreciate that. Okay, yeah, let's move on.
Yeah, we're not giving him the
I know.
Straight cash, homie. Here you go.
Straight cash, homie. Straight cash.
Yeah, yes.
Cash, homie. Straight cash, homie. Straight cash, homie.
We traded a pick with the yeah. That's right. That is correct. Thank you, Sarah.
Okay, I thought we traded for him.
Yep, no, that's a good point. Funny that Mullens beat his whole team. Well, yes, there you go. I have no idea what you're saying, Zoe. I have no idea what you're saying, but I digress.
Tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Tonic. I appreciate you.
It must mean he's celebrating.
Yes, absolutely. Let's see.
Hey, wouldn't you like to be Mullens right now? Like it's your dream. You got this. You got Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson to throw to. Something you never had before. I mean, this guy broke Brett Favre's college record.
That means
at his alma mater. That's how he was decent in college. He had like 38 touchdowns one season, and this is for USM, Southern Miss University of Southern Miss. So I mean, he has college chops. He came in the league with some deficiencies, 6 foot, not a strong arm. So I mean, this guy was an accomplished quarterback coming into the league, and he's thrown some big time blowouts. And he had 5 victories. You don't get, it's a quarterback stat, right? Victories. Well, he doesn't get this last game. Dobbs gets that one because he started the game.
Right. Unfortunately, that is the case. T-Bass, I'm not sure where you're going. I agree that was not a dirty hit on Justin Jefferson. So I don't know if I missed a comment somebody said out there, but I'll just address it.
Yeah.
No, that was not a dirty hit.
That last night too.
That's not a dirty hit.
I question why.
And yes, Bob,
defensive backs don't wrap people up and they throw shoulders, though. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'll say this: there was a play in the game last night,
because he threw a shoulder into his back.
Yeah,
and he didn't wrap him up.
No, doesn't have to. He's trying to knock the ball away. I mean, that's football. If that was Harrison Smith against somebody else, would we be saying that's a dirty hit by Harrison Smith? No, we'd be saying that's football.
I didn't say it was a dirty hit either. I just the way the league is, teaching wrapping up, things like that, that it was a shoulder to the, to the back, to the kidney area.
Right.
So it's like, but we all can agree that hit on Naylor was bullshit.
Now that one, yes.
That should have been called.
That was a headshot.
Such bullshit.
Absolutely. All right,
And
just
that's
to
what
put
he got pulled out of the game later because of that,
Mhm.
and that's where the concussion came from.
Mm-hmm.
Because they pulled the other guy that hit him out, too. So they pulled both of them out, and then Naylor is out with in protocol, concussion protocol. So yeah, and that was a crown to the face mask. Yeah, he launched too.
All right, shout out to RBD. I know that's what I'm on. Shout out to Ramon for his first chat on Facebook. Everybody shout out Ramon. That we could see him when we put up his comments, but you guys couldn't. So here's what we do, Ramon. When you send your first one in, your first time on the YouTube, everybody shout you out. So there you go. You'll get a lot of people saying hello to you here real quick. Now, there was one just a minute ago. All right, so again, I'm not, just to be clear, Dave, I meant to say that we'll have a top 10 pick if we lose the next 4. Okay. That doesn't change my mind, but it now becomes an interesting talker. I still wouldn't do it. I'd still say, no, you go for it. Now, if you lose your next 2 games, well, no, the third game's against the Packers, so we never not try to beat the Packers. So, no, while a top 10 pick would be great, at this point, no.
There's 3 division games back.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry.
I'm like,
normally I am for doing long-term plays. I'm okay usually short-term pain for long-term game, but again, at this point with 4 games left, I'm no.
And for me, it's I always like to finish strong in a season. Yeah. And I think a team that makes the playoffs is much more appealing to free agents coming into our, coming to us. And I think it's a tiebreaker in a lot of cases. They might not necessarily take the more money and will win out. And that's, it's the Jets Vikings situation with Cousins. He came to us, took $6 million less, and they both have high taxes. So it's like, it wasn't that. He wanted to go to the better situation, which was us. So I think that, there's other players that make that decision. I think there's other players that did make that decision to come to us.
I got you now, T-Bass. I got you. See, Ramon, look at all those people saying hello to you. See, that's what we're talking about. We call it Purple Game. We call it the SKOL for Life family, whatever you want to call it. But anyway, there was one comment in here that I thought was really good, but with all of the hellos to Ramon, I just lost it. So hang on for just a second. Well, I'll just get to this one here. There it is. We appreciate you, Ramon. We appreciate you.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, man.
There was another one. I lost my train of thought. You want to move on to the Bengals or anything else injury? Well, no, let's talk about the offensive line real quick. We became a walking mash unit at that particular point in the game. We just kept losing guys. Normally, you would think that having a mobile quarterback would be better to mask some of that with the offensive line. But as you said at the top, Josh Dobbs just has a tendency to run backwards 7 yards, which is not good at all. But how do you think this is going to affect that game now, depending on who gets played here and who's available?
So part of the genius that was Kwesi was getting a Quisenberry, who was a starter in this league, and I like him. And O'Neal, it is a drop off, but I don't think it's that big a drop off. And he had been struggling recently too.
Right.
But I like Quisenberry. I thought that was a huge pickup considering how I thought our problem was depth at offensive line. When they got Quisenberry, I thought he was a better player than Oliudo. So I was excited. I'm not too worried about that. And I think people giving Brandel a bad rap about this last game, but there's plenty of plays where he was 1-on-1 and stonewalled people.
Right.
So it has a lot to do with those guys getting thrown in to the game late, but there wasn't much of a problem once Dobbs was out. I think Mullens really only had to scramble maybe twice at the most. And he had time. He still had time. Then there's Dobbs where the guys blitz up the middle and he just he just hikes the ball.
Yeah. That one was so bad.
And then runs back 10 yards.
Yeah.
And to get sacked.
Yeah. I mean,
go down.
Yeah, exactly.
Just drop
and
your
KJ
knees,
Osborne,
man.
It's like if you get a hit and then you're surrounded, don't reestablish yourself and lose even more.
Oh yeah,
yards.
KJ Osborne on that. Just go down.
All right, let's move on. Move on. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But a lot to be said, the offensive line.
Yeah.
A lot to be said about switching to Mullens because and that was his draft evaluation was his footwork. And I think it's going to be consistent. I think he's going to be fast to this peak of his drop, and it again in the consistency part of it, but also the play action. And you'll notice in his rollout, he got rid of the ball right away, and Dobbs kept hanging on to it, and then giving it, and the guy had nowhere to go. So I think you're going to have a better. Now he did have a bad throw to our 84, our other tight end Oliver, kind of just threw it out in front of him a little bit, and he even when Madison got hurt on the bad throw to him, right?
Yeah,
that's when he got hurt.
Well, I think it was the play before, and that.
Oh, maybe okay.
Yeah,
maybe he got hurt before that. And
he tried to stick it out one more play, and then that made it look. Yeah.
So I won't blame him. I'll blame him on JJ, but I won't blame him on Madison.
Right. No, absolutely. Shout out Mr. Tonic to he said something about your hat.
Which hat? Me?
He said he had the same hat with Phillips, Jones Jr., and Joseph's autograph. Oh, okay. I get it now. I get it. Hey, shout out to your stepdad, by the way, too, Mr. Tonic. We appreciate
Yeah, my wife bought this while we were in Minnesota, I think. Yeah.
Cap Captain says defense is scary. Yeah, I'm trying to temper my enthusiasm because, as soon as just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
Pull you back in, man.
Yeah, exactly. Let me get a couple of shouts to some people here. We got Eric in the building. What's going on? Say hello to Fernando and Raquel for us, as well as Two-Tone Tony. Play Hall. We agree. Not going to happen, though. Hopefully he'll be the backup, because if he's not the backup, then I'm really not going to be happy. But all right, we only got a couple minutes left here before you got to go and get ready for your show with Rap, and I've got a few things to tie up here as well. So let's go ahead and move on to the Bengals. I say I don't know what my prediction is yet, because I don't know how many of these offensive linemen are not going to be playing. That's the one thing about doing it on a Tuesday. Even though we have one less day, I don't know how to make heads or tails of this. I'm assuming Justin Jefferson's going to play. So I lean towards this being a game that the Vikings can be coming out victors on. We'll see if the defense continues to do what it does, and let's just say it holds them to 14 to 17 points. Do I think we can win this game? Yes.
Yeah.
But again, if we end up finding out that O'Neal is out again, that Reisner is limited, that Ed Ingram is out, that's going to make it tough. Even with the change at quarterback, even feeling that JJ is going to be there, and that you're going to be running the, Kirk Cousins light offense with that many injuries on the offensive line, I have my concerns.
So if Ed Ingram plays, Brandel can play left guard too. In fact, he's better at it.
Right.
At left guard.
Right. So you need one of those two to play. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be too worried about that. And honestly, Quisenberry played good the first time he had to come in for Darisaw. Is he better? Which is he better at? He played both right and left tackle, and he started in this league. I think he's 32, if I remember right. But he's good, man. I like him.
Yeah.
And I was really high in Brandel. I said early on in the year, I was like, I finally given up on him starting over Ed Ingram, but I still think he's better than him personally. But we'll see. We'll see. Honestly, the pass blocking from Brandel is going to be better than Ed Ingram's pass blocking. Just him and Reisner kind of have the same blocking ability when it comes to the independent hands and reading and being able to react to like a stunt. So I think he's in Ed Ingram's not. That is not his strength, is reading where that that blitzer or that stunt's coming from. So I'm not too worried about. Honestly, I'm not too worried about it. If it was Darisaw down and O'Neal down, I'm like, oh shit. All right. But I don't think there's a big drop off in our offensive interior to our backups. I'm just a little higher on those guys as much. People may think I'm Pollyanna about it, but I honestly, when I saw Brandel play and when we got, and then Quisenberry, I think those are solid players. I'm not too worried about it. Give them a week of preparation. I think we'll be fine. Do you know much about the defensive line for the Bengals?
Not really, but let me address your point that you just made. The only concern that I hear what you're saying, but the problem is that if that is the case and that's our starting five, we don't have a whole lot of depth behind them, because when you're using 2 or 3 of your depth pieces as starters, if 1 or 2 people go down in the middle of the game, well then what the heck?
Schlotman,
Yeah.
I'm pretty high on Schlotman. Really impressed me this year. And then what's the other guy? Reed?
Yeah.
Reed or Wright?
I'm not even gonna cap. I have no idea.
And I thought he was gonna be our starter over at Ingram. 2 years ago.
True.
Last year.
All right, what's your unofficial prediction 5 days in advance?
This is probably the hardest one.
Yeah.
24-19 us.
I don't know
what this one's gonna be hard to predict.
Yeah,
but
I mean, this was one.
Oh, sorry. I think we'll score in the 20s every game with Mullens as our quarterback and Justin Jefferson on the field.
We'll score 30 a game with Mullens, and then I'll say to you, see, we don't need Kirk, but I digress. We're not going down to Kirk.
Yeah, anybody can quarterback this team.
Yeah, exactly. No, but in all seriousness, Mr. Tonic's right. Their defense is just okay. So if we can put up 24, we definitely should win that game. Now, this was one of those games on the schedule when it came out that we had down as a loss, because we figure Cincinnati in December, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, they absolutely have a shot. And, it's unfortunate that Burrow went down, but you can't control that. So, yes, they absolutely have a shot. No question about it. So, real quick, let's hit the reset button. Hit those like buttons on both channels, Purple and Gold for Days, as well as Minnesota Sports Talk. If you're not already subscribed to both channels, hit us up with the sub buttons. We very much appreciate all of you guys and gals for coming out here tonight. It was an absolute blast. I think we peaked out at 39 people in the building at one time. So, again, we say this all the time. Dave and I could sit here and talk about the Vikings all we wanted, but having you guys available to us in the chat, throwing topics at us and saying hello makes this a whole lot more fun and a whole lot easier. So, you on tomorrow night with the GG boys with the SKOL experience, I'm assuming?
Yes, sir.
All right.
For those guys, we got 35 in the house. If you guys could switch over and hit like on my channel too, I got 10 likes over there. Make sure you give me a shout out, Minnesota Sports Talk. If you haven't already subscribed to me, I'd appreciate it. I am putting out more content. I'm no longer shadow banned. I actually having people watch my channel again, so it's I'm gonna be putting out more content. So I appreciate it.
There you go.
Thanks for sticking with me.
Oh, absolutely. And thank you guys so very, very much. So just a quick recap. Tomorrow night on Minnesota Sports Talk, a simulcast with the GG Sports guys, 6:30 Central Time. Thursday night at 8:15, maybe 8:20, depending on how the game is going on Thursday night. On Purple and Gold for Days, we got SKOL for Days. Thursday's Talkers. And then we got Saturday morning Purple and Gold pregame show, roughly about 11:10. And I'm assuming Rap's going to go live on Friday like he typically does. And you know what? Mosey on over to Purple and SKOL Media. If you don't already subscribe there, hit them up too. Because Rap and Dave are going to do their show starting at the top of the hour at 9:00 Central Time. Yep. So for now, anything else, my friend, before we get out of here?
No, man. I'm pretty optimistic about the rest of the season, man.
Yeah,
with this defense, that's something we're used to. We've had 10-6 teams. 2012.
Right.
Well, we had a crazy running game, but now we got weapons. We got more well-rounded team.
Yeah.
I think Mullens is capable of Casey Keenum type play.
Right.
And with that defense, man, that defense, nobody can figure out that defense. Nobody has figured it out except for the Chargers. And that was the third game of the season, and we were still trying to figure it out. So
right.
Tune in, man.
Hey,
let's go.
We still got a shot at this. We got a shot at this. Shout out to Ramon for joining us here tonight. Like I said, not downsizing the Facebook community, but like I said, on the YouTube one where you get to interact with everybody.
The only reason I have a Facebook community is to bring people to YouTube.
Yes, there you go. So if you hit those sub buttons on the channels as well as everybody else, thank you, Connie, for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow night over on Minnesota Sports Talk with the GGs and Thursday night on Purple and Gold for Days. SKOL Vikings, baby.